What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today is Friday, September 15th, day number 45 inside the Big Brother house. Oh boy, there is so much to go over. This is a jam-packed update. We have a huge fight to talk about. The eviction episode last night. Who won HoH, the feed aftermath of all of it, plus the plans going into next week, as well as a BB25 draft update. Yes, I know I have kind of put that on the back burner because just things had been so crazy. I almost actually just kind of forgot about it every update. But finally, we will have an update on where the standings are. Plus huge announcements for jury and next week. There's so much to go over in this update. Let's kind of jump into it. Before we do that, just one little birthday message for you. Caroline, it's your birthday. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Happy birthday. Let's get into it. Everything was going very normal yesterday on the live feeds before the episode. Just like they normally do. Everything was fine. Everything was chill. Izzy was a little bit nervous, but that was normal for her as well. Even if the flip wasn't taking place, it seemed like it was just going to be fine, right? We were going to get the vote, and it was good. Until Jared goes and meets with Matt. And he has this convo where he's like, man, like, what's going on? Like, you're still good, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Why? Like, what's going on? He's like, well, Jag told me late last night that you and him are voting to keep Felicia. And Matt's like, well, I don't know why he would say that. Like, we didn't have that conversation. I'm keeping Izzy, right? Like, he was wavering and stuff like that, but he said I was doing it or just him? He's like, both of you. Oh, wow, that's crazy. And he was really kind of pushing the votes, but Matt was like, no, like, we're fine. Then like Cory gets involved with it as well. Because him, Matt, and Cory all kind of meet up to talk about the vote. Cirie ended up joining at one point too, and they're just kind of talking about everything. It's like, you guys are staying true to everything, right? They're like, yeah, no, we're staying true. Like, all right, because we're hearing things, and we just wanted to make sure like everything was still solid. Because if you guys don't flip, like, we have this, like, we're fine. Like, as long as you two are solid, Izzy gets to stay. And they're like, yeah, we're voting to keep Izzy. We gave her our word. Like, yeah, of course. Cory and Matt, after this, they end up talking about the whole Jag thing, and Matt is fuming. He's like, I cannot believe that Jag sold us out like this, and said something to Jared. Cory like tries to calm him down. He's like, listen, we don't know that for sure, right? Even if it is true, it's too late now. If we back out of this now, there's no way we can back out of this. We have to go through with it. So they're like, we'll just have to not trust Jag moving forward. Which again, this is all a lie. Jag did not tell Jared this last night. This is just him, like, he was trying to pull out information, and it worked, right? They were getting very worked up about this. They were like, what's going on here? Eventually things kind of go even more crazy with this because they decide, listen, we're going to keep it the same. It's too late to flip back. We'll let them know before the vote though, right? Because after that discussion, they were like, they would know if it was us. We can't just blindside them or we're going to be in trouble. So at least right before the vote, we'll fill them in that we're not voting to keep Izzy anymore. And then we're voting to keep Felicia, and that'll be that. That all would have been fine as well. But then Matt goes and tells Felicia early. It's like they just can't sit back and just relax. They always have to be doing something. And I love this cast for it. It's absolutely amazing. So with Matt telling Felicia, that eventually gets back to Jared. And then we have a big fight that breaks out. We've got Jared, Cory, Matt, Cirie, and Bowie, who actually ended up joining the room eventually. Both Cirie and Bowie weren't there at the very start. Bowie kind of wandered in shortly after it began, kind of like almost like right behind them. And then eventually Cirie joined it as well. It was just fireworks absolutely crazy. Lots of round and round discussions of like, you're lying, no, you're lying. Just a couple little highlights, because I literally could not do this justice to how amazing this was. This was the best Big Brother fight that we've seen in years on the live feed. Years. And it was absolutely amazing from the start to the finish. We didn't even get to see the conclusion of it, and that's part of it as well. But some of the highlights here. First off, the Jag lie. Jared ended up kind of getting caught in that lie where he was saying that Jag told him that Matt and Jag were going to be voting out Izzy. Jag did not say this, right? So they were like, well, let's get Jag in here. So eventually they get Jag in there and they start talking about the whole conversation. This was actually when Cirie was already there as well. And the thing was, Jared goes from Jag told me this and said it in front of Cory as well, to then all of a sudden starts to try and say, oh no, Matt misheard me, right? Like, I didn't say Jag said you were both going it. He said, I heard Jag say this. Like, I heard that it happened, not that he told me. But then Cory's like, wait a minute, like, you told that to me as well. Like, I was in the room too, and you said that this happened. And Jag's like, yeah, I didn't say this. Like, what are you talking about? So that was kind of Jared getting caught in one lie out of many. There was also one where he was talking about, like, for real, not being a real alliance with Cory. He's like, no, that was fake. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we left the room and we talked about that was fake. Meanwhile, like, a couple of minutes later, he's like, what are you talking? What's for real? Never heard of it. So he just kind of kept getting caught in lies. Another really kind of interesting part was where Jared was very vocal and really trying to kind of dominate the conversation. And he was raising his voice a lot, like, not like screaming, right? But like he was very I don't want to say aggressive, right? Like, that's not the right thing, but he was loud, right? He was being loud, like you do when you're getting into an argument. And Cory starts to kind of defend himself on it. And to Jared's point, he did try like a couple of times to like bring it back down, but then he would get more heated as like he was getting caught in lies. So Cory tries to defend himself and he starts getting heated, and Jared has the nerve to kind of say like, well, you know, can you lower your tone? Cory's like, you were just yelling at me for 10 minutes. I'm gonna say my piece. Jared was also doing a lot of like cutting off, because again, he was getting caught in lies and he didn't want this to kind of keep on spiraling. Another kind of great moment was when Cirie came in. Eventually they started talking about Jared telling Cameron not fully about Cory's secret, but like hinting that he has a secret. And when Cirie heard this news, she was staring daggers into Jared. Like, she tried to like hide it too. Like, she would look at him like, look away. She would like look at him and like she wanted to go up there and just like smack him upside the head. She was like, you did what? Like, you could just see it in her. And the whole thing was, the way this all went down, I feel like if it was just Cirie handling it, she might not have been able to save it, but there was a chance. You only need 2 people to flip back to you. And I feel like Cirie would have had the skills to kind of calmly talk this through instead of letting it get to what it was. Because really what ended up happening was Jared came in, he poured gasoline onto the fire, turned around and said, Mom, it's not working. Why isn't it working? It was absolutely amazing. Eventually, though, the feeds cut off, and there was lots of talk about like all of the alliances that were happening and everything. But the feeds cut off because we were getting ready for the live show, so we didn't actually see the resolution of this conflict, and I'm sure more went down, which we'll end up seeing on Sunday's episode. So I'm really looking forward to Sunday's episode. I'll tell you that right now. Speaking of, that's when we jump into last night's eviction episode, and we started off with what actually kind of surprised me, because I didn't know if it was too late for it to actually make the edit, but they covered the flip very well in this episode. If I was just an episode only watcher, I would understand what happened. Like, I would have understood what was going down. Not every detail was in there, which is totally understandable as well, because it is only an hour show. Man, if we would have been able to have that 2-hour show today. Oh, if that 2-hour show was today, that would have been just perfect. But we did get a lot of it, and I'm sure we'll see, of course, the fight on a flashback as well on Sunday, just like we talked about all the other stuff that we probably missed out when the lockdown took place. And again, I really did like the edit. I thought they didn't miss out on much, and it really made for a good episode. We then get to the vote, which we weren't 100% sure where the votes were going to be with this. When we originally were kind of going about everything, we were like, okay, it's going to be 6-3. We had that group of 6 of Jag, Matt, Cory, America, Bowie, and Mimi. That was going to be the core group there, with Jag, Matt, Cory, and America being more of a core in that 6 to be able to vote to keep Felicia, vote out Izzy. On the other side, you were going to have Blue, Cirie, and Jared. When it came down to the vote, it ended up being an 8-1 vote. So all of this fight really kind of opened everything up. Again, I'm sure more kind of took place where Blue got more information, because we'll get to her too as well. She becomes a big player once we get into the aftermath of the HoH. And it ended up being an 8-1 vote. Cirie, the only one to vote for Izzy, just that huge bond that she was able to make with her. And I think, too, this is just, again, another kind of thing that we need to talk about, the big difference between Big Brother and every other reality competition show. I really kind of wanted to mention it on yesterday's update, where all of Cirie's kind of plans and alliances all fell apart pretty much, 4 days after they would finish a classic Survivor season of 39 days, and 17 days on the newer school seasons, and 22 days of the Traders, because they only really filmed that for about 3 weeks. Big Brother is a marathon. And all those other things are a sprint. Big Brother is a marathon. And on top of that, because of the extra isolation that Big Brother has, you form these bonds with people. And because it goes on for so long, eventually you get really attached to them, and you don't want to turn your back on them, but you know you have to do it for the game, or you have to see somebody leave that's one of your allies that now is literally, I truly believe, Cirie sees Izzy as family, right? Like, as someone who will always be a part of her life now, as a lifelong friend moving forward. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about Big Brother, right? So she was the only one to vote for her, to give her kind of that sympathy vote, so it wasn't unanimous. I think there was even like a moment where Cirie kind of told Jared, like, just vote her out, like, just try and save as much face as you can. Izzy hugged everyone on the way out, except for Cameron, who she kind of pushed away and was like, no need, I'll be seeing you soon, don't worry. She also kind of pushed away Cory, was like, you know, I'll see you too as well. But everybody else she hugged, made her way on out, and she actually really ended up blaming Cory for all of this happening, which, yeah, I mean, she isn't wrong, but really, is he to blame, or is it Jared kind of playing all the sides and pushing Cory away, especially trying to drive a wedge between Cory and America? Izzy was a part of that too, where she had the conversation with Cory, telling him that, you know, hey, you probably shouldn't sleep in the same bed. So was it really Cory kind of being the one to blame, or is it just kind of maybe getting comfortable in your game, right? I think Izzy was a very good player. She really had a good insight for the game, but eventually you get to that point where if you get comfortable, you slip up, and that is when you're in the most danger. So I think she just ended up kind of being too lost in the weeds. They had too much going on, and eventually it all cracked, and it was her downfall in the game. She went out without spilling the beans about Cirie and Jared, so she was the only one who we for sure know, absolutely 100% knows that Jared and Cirie are mother and son. I still have questions about Blue. We'll get to this more, but I have questions on what she knows, what she doesn't. She's an interesting nut to crack. I have not been able to figure Blue out just yet. And when we talk about it later, maybe you guys will be able to help me with it. Anyway, that kind of takes us into the HoH competition. It was the iconic wall comp with good old Josh, Meatballs Josh from BB19. He was featured up on there. And it was a good comp. I liked the design of it. It was really cool. They had like the cityscape behind it and all of it looked really nice. They had the giant meatballs that came. Those things were swinging hard as they were coming on in to hit them. Like, there were a couple times where Jared had to like duck down just so it hit him in the stomach and not maybe lower. Because if it hit him any lower, he might have been singing at a higher pitch and been way off that wall very quickly. So that was all really entertaining. Of course, they got squirted with all kinds of slime and all that goodness. And even there was like fog coming on out that kind of shocked them from behind. But this might have been maybe the quickest wall comp we ever had. We'll get into that. There are two other big pieces of news to talk about from the episode. First off, jury was announced to the house guests, but not as you think. So normally, in the past few seasons, we've had a 9-person jury. So we would be starting right this week. This would be when jury starts. Not this year. We are going old school once again. In years past, a 7-person jury was the big thing. In fact, I think there's almost just as many 7 jury seasons as there are 9 jury seasons. And I think this one will actually maybe even end up evening it almost. Like, it's really close. I think there was like a couple other weird ones in there. But for the most part, it was 9 for the past, at this point, almost 10 seasons. And then before that, 7 was actually more common. There was like another one that was 9 like early on too. I forget which one. But it's going to be fun to go back to a 7. And I personally like the 7-person jury. Just look at this right here. If we had jury start today, more than half the cast makes it to jury. If anybody's into fantasy football, imagine if more than half your league made the playoffs. Like, it feels like it's too much, right? And I think having a smaller jury makes things get a little bit crazier, especially because those first like 2 people, like juror number 8 and juror number 9, how much info do they really have compared to people that were making all the way to the end there, where it's a 7-person jury and you're looking at much more information to go on game wise. So I think overall I'm a big fan of the 7-person jury. The other news that we have to go over is that next week is a double eviction, meaning that if you make it past jury, if you make it past the double eviction, you're in jury. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Again, with this being just a wild week, I cannot wait for that as well. This season just keeps on getting, every time we think, oh, it's going to slow down a little bit, it just ramps back up even more. And I've just been having so much fun with this season from the beginning to the end. Absolutely loving it. Now, let's talk about the HoH and all of the aftermath that happened on the feeds. First off, in the HoH competition, Cirie felt first. She was out really quickly, didn't last very long at all. Felicia, I was very proud of Felicia. She did really well, lasting a decent amount of time, right? Not too much longer after, but I was very impressed with how long she did last. She's a tough lady, and I give her all the credit for hanging in there. But then, this is where things started to take the turn. Because going into this, I had 3 people that I said, you know what? I think if you were going to, handicap this, right? We were just talking about fantasy football, right? If you were doing like sports betting on this, right? I think the front runners, the people who've been like losing time, right, for how long they were going to be on there, you might do like, minus 5 minutes for these people. America, Mimi, and Cory. I thought they were kind of the front runners to win this thing. Usually people who do well in this competition are the smaller house guests who don't have really like big muscles or anything, or a lot of body weight to kind of hold up. So it's easier for them to stay up on the wall. Who were the first people out after Cirie and Felicia? America, Mimi, and Cory. What? Then, almost immediately after them, Jag goes out. Matt goes out. It comes down to Jared, Blue, and effing Bowie Jane? How did we get to the point where Bowie Jane is the one who has to win this competition for that side of the house? What? But that's where we were. And it comes down to the end where Bowie eventually slips off. Blue seconds after that, meaning Jared is your HoH for the week. Unbelievable. This is now the second week in a row where the person who probably needed to win HoH the most came through and won HoH. Wild. And here's the thing. I know there's probably a lot of people that are like, oh, Ori, I didn't want to see Jared win. Like, I wanted to see, you know, him and Cirie up on the block. Listen, let me tell you this. As someone who loves the power shifting and the game kind of keep on going and not letting one side get too strong, a Jared win is probably peak entertainment for us. Like, for our entertainment value, having them be here for the double eviction, amazing, right? Absolutely awesome. This is better. I would be actually more upset if Jared didn't win and we had a double eviction coming up, because that would mean we wouldn't get to see them go through a double eviction. Like, that is going to be a lot of fun. So Jared is the HoH. What does this all mean? Well, the feeds went down for a little bit after the competition. When they eventually came back, we saw Blue and Jag kind of hashing things out, and she really is really upset with Jared. She's saying, like, I'm so sorry that I let Jared believe that I couldn't let me believe that I couldn't trust you. She mentioned how actually, like, Izzy, Jared, Cirie, and her had a Final Four going on, and that was a Final Four deal. And she was like really confused, like, with what was going on there. Or actually, no, it wasn't Izzy, it was Felicia. She had a Final Four deal with them and Felicia. Maybe it was Izzy. That was a hard one to wrap my head around, because I think she was implying that it was Felicia in the conversation with Jag, but later on with the conversation with Jared, it seemed to imply that it was with Izzy. So I don't know, maybe they had two Final Fours that they were doing, but the one thing that kind of made it Blue like upset was like, it's like, well, I thought we were keeping this person because they were in the Final Four, but then we were voting them out. So I was a little confused by that. Maybe even she's a little bit confused by that. Maybe she was just telling Jag like half truths to go along with it. I'm not 100% sure with that, because again, Blue is a tough nut for me to crack with this, because the other thing she says is if she would have won, she would have taken the shot at Jared and Cirie. Now, we have heard her before say that, hey, who's going to take you out of this game, Jared? It's going to be me. Like, I'm going to be the one to do it. And it feels like she just wants to make like a TV moment. Like, she wants to be the one to take him out. And I still don't 100% know like what she knows about Cirie and Jared. Sometimes I think she knows everything. Other times, like this, where you would think maybe she would be ready to just throw him under the bus completely, because she said other things to Jag that she shouldn't, right? Like about how, you know, he wants to go after you and like we have to go after him and like we just got to make him comfortable for the week. So if she really was going to go against him, why wouldn't she drop that bomb of like, hey, listen, either Felicia or Cirie is his mom, and I think it's Cirie. Like, if she knew this, why wouldn't she drop that info at this point, right? Like maybe it's because nominations haven't happened and veto and all that. Maybe she's just holding it in her pocket. But at this point, if she's trying to like build back her trust with Jag, she could drop that info to him and it would be good. But again, I think she's holding on to that because also Jag's probably not the one you want to tell this to. But then later, I actually thought maybe she was going to say it to Cory, because she was bringing up, she's like, yeah, you know, like I heard about like your brother being on Survivor, and Jared actually told me about that. So like, where he's like, see, I knew he was telling people. Like, he's the one going around saying he's not telling any people, but he told you. And she's like, yeah. And it looked like she had it on her face. Like she wanted to tell Cory that Cirie was Jared's son. Like the way she was talking about it, it just made me feel like she wanted to do it, but she didn't. Like I was ready for her to say, I think that Cirie is Jared's son, but she didn't do it. And that's why, like, I don't 100% know, like, does she still think that was kind of a joke? At this point, like, with all of the hints and all of the things that happened, she has to know, right? But maybe she doesn't. And it's wild. I cannot wait to hear more from her about what she knew, when she figured it out, if she just had, like, suspicions of it, if she was holding it for game reasons. There's so many questions I would have for Blue. I can't even tell you. Other than that, she also said, like, if Bowie would have been able to fall just like 5 seconds sooner, Jared would have dropped for Blue because he would have thought that Blue would have kept him safe and he would get to compete in the next HoH. So it's like, why he doesn't need to win it, let Blue win it, and then he compete next week. And she would have taken that shot at him, which would have been amazing as well to see. But again, I was that true? We didn't really know. But then she actually had a cam talk alone up in the HoH where she kind of confirmed this to us, where she's like, oh yeah, like I'm done with Jared. I'm going to let him be comfortable and then I'm taking that shot at him next week. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun if that takes place. We also had Jag, Matt, and Blue kind of discussing how they were going to distance themselves from Cory and America just for appearances, right? Because a big thing that they want to accomplish this week is to make sure at the end of the week that Cameron is on the block for eviction so that they have the votes to send him out over anybody else. They were saying they were going to let, you know, this big kind of like plan where they were going to talk about how America knew about the 7 earlier than Cory and America like let on that they knew about it, and that Izzy was the one to tell them, not Jared. So they were going to kind of like blame Izzy for telling America about the 7 and not Jared telling Cory about it, which actually Jared, when the convos that he had with Matt and Jag, he was like, yeah, I asked Izzy about that right before she left, and she said, yeah, I did tell him. So they're kind of throwing that in there as like a way to kind of keep close with Jared. So hopefully he doesn't end up putting them on the block. But what's funny is the idea to get Cameron on a back door, you would think that's kind of crazy. Like, yes, of course, Cameron is a threat, but with the way the dynamics are, technically Jared wouldn't be the right person for, or excuse me, Cameron wouldn't be the right person for Jared to try and get out of this game. With how the whole house dynamics are, and if we actually take a look, I've made first off, I've started on the alliance chart, and let me just say, like, it still has to do some work, but I did cuts. This is all of what's left of the old alliance chart from just last week. Not much left on there, as you guys can see. Especially when you compare it to some of the past weeks. But the other thing I have is the more simplified version here. And this is kind of how I see the house a little bit. And I'll be honest, Mimi up there, she's with the 6, right? That was kind of the last we saw. I didn't see enough of her yet on the feeds to really confirm, you know, is she going to play more of the middle, which it's kind of seeming like she is ready to play more of the middle. Obviously, she's got a very strong connection with Felicia. There are the Brown Sugar Babes that she's still technically a part of as well. So for her, like, she could easily play the middle side. But I also don't know 100% where she will lie as far as like true allegiance. And I think she might lean this way because of everything that Jared and Cirie have been doing. She sees it as a detriment as well. But maybe she can see that as a potential good thing to try and get out some of these other people. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure where Mimi falls, but for now, we're going to keep her on the side with 6. Bowie as well, she's over there. Though she also has a good relationship with Cameron, who is outside of that 6. Cory and America, fully still with the 6. Matt and Jag, as far as I can tell, fully with the 6. Blue over on that side, but also kind of seems like playing in the middle, but, you know, she's leaning to the 6, right? So I have Cameron and Blue both kind of leaning towards the 6, even though they're in the middle. They're not really a part of it, but like Blue like is closer to it than Cameron would be to getting into it. So it's a little bit of a weird dynamic there. Obviously, Jared and Cirie on the other side. And then Felicia, who's kind of leaning over towards Jared and Cirie, though prior to the eviction, she was very much like seeing like, okay, the people I thought were going to be fighting for me weren't fighting for me that hard. So I think she's a little disillusioned with everything that's been happening as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see how these dynamics play out, because so many of the alliances we had prior are done. And it's a whole new game. It's almost like we're starting fresh this week. Well, really even just a couple of days ago during last week, we started fresh. So just a absolutely wild turn of events with that. Other than that, we covered how Jared and Matt had a little bit of convo, which is kind of going over my notes of things we might have missed or I might have skipped over. Oh, Jared's plans. So we talked about how the 6 want to get Cameron up on the block. Well, seems like that might actually be Jared's plan to backdoor Cameron. Felicia actually suggested Cory and Jag as potential nominees, which Jared was just like, actually, yeah, I was thinking something similar, right? Like maybe America and Cory, maybe Jag and America, but overall, it seems like it's going to be some kind of combination of those 3, with Cameron being the potential backdoor if it can happen. So he's basically doing what the other side wants. The hard part with this is if they could get Cameron in a room and actually talk to him about stuff, you may be able to sway him, but he's not going to think that the other side's going to be the one targeting him, even though they all don't trust him. If they could get Cameron and Bowie and switch them back on over, they could really kind of change things up here a little bit. Get Mimi back, but I don't know how well that's going to work. And it seems like right now, the target will be Cameron. But if it can't be Cameron, it could end up being someone like Jag who leaves, or someone like Cory who leaves, or someone like America who leaves. I think Matt's going to be safe. I think Mimi's going to be safe. I think Bowie's going to be safe. Blue should be fine. Felicia, you don't have to worry about her. Obviously, Cirie's good. So yeah, I think the 4 people in the most danger this week: Cameron, Jag, America, and Cory. 2 of them will end up on the block, potentially with Cameron as the backdoor. So we'll see how that all really goes. And then the final thing to really kind of end the night, there was a very long and awkward conversation with Blue and Jag. Because again, she's not happy with Jared, with just everything that was going on. She really kind of just wanted to have a conversation with him and just really talk a lot of this out. And he was upset that she wasn't happy when he won and wasn't showing that enthusiasm. She's like, well, yeah, I had a lot of questions for you. I wanted to talk to you first before celebrating like crazy. And he just doesn't understand. He's like, what do you mean? Like, you just be happy. Just be happy for me. Why can't you just be happy? Period. Like, just be happy. And she's trying to explain, like, yeah, but I had tons of questions. I wanted to talk to you. Like, I was feeling lied to about stuff, or at the very least, like, I was getting told other things about you, and I wanted to know what was really happening. Even she had questions with Cirie and with that whole Final Four thing, like I was talking about, which even I have questions about of what actually was going on there. I was a little confused with that. But overall, it was very awkward. It kind of ended in silence. And, you know, Blue's like, are you mad? And nope. But not saying nothing. Eventually, Blue was called to the diary room and kind of ended the awkwardness there. But she did end up going back to the bed. Eventually, everybody else went to sleep. And that kind of wraps up what happened on the aftermath. Tomorrow is going to be a big day where we kind of see a lot of like where people are kind of lying now with everything. And what a wild 48 hours, what even at this point, 36 hours, 72 hours inside the house. Just completely wild week of Big Brother. And it's only going to keep getting crazier into this week and then into the double eviction. And then after that, we're going to have the jury phase. This season just keeps on giving. I even was going to say like, oh, we can like fully confirm this is the best jury, like pre-jury part of a season that we've ever had. Well, it keeps on going now because jury isn't starting for another week. We still have 2 more house guests who need to be evicted. Whew, that was a lot. But we also still have to go over our draft. So let me pull this on up here and show you what the leaderboard looks like currently in our draft. Here we are. I can zoom in here a little bit, I think. Let's see if it lets me zoom in. Will it even let me zoom in? Well, that's zooming out. Will it not let me zoom in? I just want to zoom. I just want to zoom in. Well, let me zoom in. Apparently we're zoomed out now. Well, that's a thing. Let me show you here the top score getters at the moment. We've got Stonecutter up in first place with 33 points with the team of Hisam, Jared, and Matt. He's lost Hisam though, so that is 1 player down. It's going to be a little bit easier to catch him, but with Jared doing really well in competitions, Matt, another really good person that you probably would want to have on your side for competitions, both on his team. So Stonecutter looking to hold on to that number 1 spot. Brillo coming in at number 2 with Cameron, Jag, and Jared, but we also have kind of a 3-way tie there because there are 2 people that have the same team right there. You got Brillo and then also insulin dependent Fatty. I'm gonna say Fatty. What a name. Coming in at 2nd and 3rd, but there is a bit of a tie there for who's coming in because there's a bunch of teams with 32, including T Gold, Timothy, Christian, yours truly over there as well. We've got Lone Ranger and Liv as well coming in, and then Donette rounding out the top 10 for all of our competitors here. And there's a lot. You can look all the way down this list. We have, oh, look at that, someone just subscribed. Hey, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Shh, don't tell anybody, we have a secret alliance right now. About like, I don't know, well, it depends on how many people end up watching this video, but I think it's gonna be a good bit. A lot of people know about it, but shh, don't tell anybody. You guys watching, don't tell anybody about our alliance. It's a secret. It's a secret. I definitely don't listen. I didn't pull a Jared and Cirie. I don't have a million alliances with all of you. Listen, you're watching. I have an alliance with you. You right. I have an alliance with you. Don't tell anybody else watching the video though. Don't tell them. It's only with you. Okay. Okay, you can look away now. Stop listening. They're not listening. I have an alliance with you. Don't tell anybody. Am I playing Jared and Cirie's game? I think I am. This whole time, I've just been having alliances with everybody. I'm sorry, everybody. Listen, I just gotta come clean. But yeah, we have well over 100 people in the draft here. So that is kind of our scheduling with that. But we do have another little cool thing we could check out here. This was put together by Morrow. Anybody who's over in the Discord, you would know Morrow being in there. He's always up in the chat. He's been around the channel for a very long time here. One of the first people to really kind of join the community. And I cannot thank him enough for all this hard work. He built this entire website that keeps track of everything. So here we can see on the side what the scores are for each individual player. We've got Jared at number 1 with 14 points. Cameron coming in at 2nd with 12. Hisam with 10. Felicia, look at Felicia doing well in this. 7 points if you drafted Felicia. We've got Jag, America, Bowie, Matt, Mimi, and Cirie all kind of tied with 6 points. After that, Cory and Blue tied with 5 points. Izzy, poor Izzy, she only had 4 points before she got evicted. We've got Reilly with 3 points. We've got, he who must not be named down there with 0. Poor Kirsten with -1 point. But another great part of this site is we can literally go back and look at the way weeks played out. So we can see here with this week already, Jared is the HoH. Eventually we'll have the nominees up there. Here we have this past week where Izzy was evicted. Jared won the power of veto, but didn't use it. Our nominees of Felicia and Izzy, our HoH was Cameron, and all the people that survived that week. And you can go back each and every single week looking and seeing what happened. Just an amazing site that we've got set up here. Thank you once again to Morrow for all this incredible work. He's just amazing and super talented when it comes to this kind of stuff. Not just this, we have another tab here where we can look at what the top picks are actually with the draft. So we can actually go and see here what like the best possible scoring team would be. So obviously if you drafted the top 3 people of Jared, Cameron, and Hisam, you would have a perfect score right now of the best possible score you could have of 36. No one drafted those 3. So right now we have our top person with 33 points. And if you came on over, you would see kind of how things all work out, where you got 33 points here. You've got the 32 points here group of this is what your team would look like. 31, and it goes all the way down showing you what all the different combinations would be. And how those scores came to be. Lots of people would have 26 points right now. And you can kind of see as it goes, like that middle is kind of the big section where a lot of people are, which makes sense, right? That's kind of how statistics work. But really just an amazing site set up by Morrow here. I was going to give you the site address, which I think is okay, but I should check with Morrow first. I should check with Morrow first before I link that. But if I check with Morrow before this video comes out, check for the description. There's probably going to be a link to this. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers everything that we have to go over for the episode, the live feeds. It was a lot. This might have been one of my longest videos that we've ever had here on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Links to all of my socials in the description down below, pinned comment. You can check out things like my Kick, Twitch, Twitter, the Discord. Hang out in the Discord. A lot of people are joining up over there. It's been a lot of fun chatting about the live feeds. It was popping off yesterday when the fight was breaking out. So come on and join us over there. It's a great way to kind of keep up with everything that's happening so you don't miss videos, or if I'm streaming and things like that, you get notifications. You can turn them off too, but you can follow all that kinds of things. We talk about sports and all the other channels. So even if just not just BB, we want to know everything. There's a picture place where you can put pictures of your animals. You got a cute cat, put a picture of your cat. You got a cool dog, put a picture of your dog in there. You got a fish, let's see your fish. Lots of places and things you can post over in the Discord, so go check that as well. Also, just once again, I know I say it a lot, but I really do appreciate each and every one of you who shows me support. There's a lot of big things that are cooking. Ori's cooking over here. I got things stewing. I got lots of plates spinning. We're making some moves. We're trying to get some things to happen here. And potentially some really big things coming in the future for this channel. So keep an eye out for all of that. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.